you're sitting here watching, ma'am, is you have something you can contribute to this, or a question, or?
No, I don't have any questions. I'm a member of the Winchester Health Center Board, and I'm just here to listen and
Okay.
say that I'm wonderfully in support of this project. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing, not just for the town and for the health center, but for the region. The region really needs this kind of a situation.
Okay. Anybody else on the commission have any more questions before we close the public hearing?
Last one. Do you have any trade certified programs for like,
Well,
that's the school, not,
yeah, so I'm the director of the Entrepreneurial Center. We have separate people that do workforce development specifically, and they would be the right people to ask about that. Sorry.
yeah, how do you take this, start of something and catapult it to, viable jobs and skills?
So it's a, there's a couple different moving parts. When I work with people that are building cottage businesses, it's very entrepreneurial in nature. When people start manufacturing products and trying to sell them, it becomes more of a traditional business. And so this is like the early stage part, which is why I'm involved, right? How do we get people to think about litter approach? How do we get people to think about inventing and building? When you split those, because people that are training for industry, they have a difference in the needs, and there's a different toolbox that help get them prepared to move on to, learning their skill and then using it in another job. Because when you're teaching people how to build on their own, we had that nice lady that came that was doing it, had requested to change the home because she's baking. Like that's a cottage industry, right? And the goal for her is to be able to take that, take the skills that she learned, and then grow it and eventually make her own business. So we kind of split them out then, and you have specialty areas that'll serve each one of those individually. So for the job growth and retraining for veterans, we'll have folks specifically that help with that, to help walk them through whether it's programs, whether it's we talk about syllabuses that are based on a particular manufacturer or where they want to go. It becomes more entrepreneurial nature, and then they kind of come to my side, and I walk them through how to build a business. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Kind of?
The answer is yes.
I'm sorry. I can talk to you after about it. I can talk about this for days, minus the cough.
Okay. Anybody else in the commission have any more questions? We need a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close public hearing, PZC 23-12-1.
Craig, second. Any, go ahead, Jim.
Chairman, forgive me for interrupting, but if you'd like me to feed you information about specific documents after you close the public hearing, can I open my mouth? Or can
Well, I
I
think
go out in
it's-
the hall and confer with your staff? I don't want to create a defect in the approval process by talking after the hearing is closed.
I understand, and I know, I watched your, the inland wetlands,
Yeah.
that you talked after the close as well. But we need a, Lance, do you have a list of the current documents, the dates and the pages and so forth that we'll be working with tonight, subject to any modifications that come along in the next?
For everything that's been submitted?
Well, what we're dealing with, the current status that's being displayed, do you have a complete list of what that is?
I think the only thing you don't have are the plans, and I have a copy for you right there.
Okay.
So-
And then the drainage stuff
The
when you
drainage
get after
report
the
has
perk
not
test.
changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, I think,
So you have a copy of the plan?
yes. And actually, I will share something, I don't know if to do it tonight or tomorrow, but that police document is actually, that's a helpful document to have, but you don't really need a printout of it, but if you want to keep it as a PDF.
No, if we need something to be included in the discussion and in the action of the commission tonight,
Mhm.
because what we have here has gotta be, we're gonna add to the draft motion that you, thank you for providing that.
Yeah.
But, if we have questions with regards to the documents that we'll be including in this, do we need to have a conversation with Dave after we close the public hearing?
Which ones to include? If if you have that easy enough, it might not be bad to lay it out.
Well,
But-
I can sit here and write it all down with pencil before I leave,
Okay,
or I can confer with you out in the hall.
okay.
I think I can talk to staff.
You
Staff can gather information from me and
That's correct.
report it to you.
That's
I
right.
just can't provide any.
No, let's not jeopardize the integrity of what we're trying to do. But it's gotta be complete. If we don't do it complete, then there's no sense in trying to make a decision tonight.
Yep. Okay.
Is that all right with everyone? All right. So we got a motion to close the public hearing in a second. Any other further,
So do we want to close, really want to close the public hearing, or are we going to
we're
leave it
gonna
open?
make a decision, we're gonna have to.
You have to. You're gonna make a decision tonight,
Right,
which is what they're
okay.
looking for.
The problem is that this is a decision that needs to be made tonight.
Correct.
And there's a conditional approval from Wetlands, which Greg brought in the comments and so forth on the letter. So that was basically the highlights of what took place with the wetlands. So I think that as long as we have, we can get a complete list of all the documents so that we've got something to include in a, decision, then I think we'll be all right. But some of these things are gonna be modified. You're gonna be doing testing in the next few days. You've got a review being done by engineering review. Some of these things are gonna change, but I think the documentation with regards to lighting and the layout of the property and all the planting and so forth, it's to shield, the street coming up the hill from traffic and so forth. Those are all on the plans.
Before we close the public hearing, Jim, do you have any comments or anything?
I'd just like to say, you guys, this is my feeling what happened with ECAD. We were rushed into a decision, I think, just so you know, that you should make sure that you're comfortable with rushing this decision, that's all.
Yeah, I think what's a lot different, BCAD was a site plan, and this is a special permit that we've
Yeah.
But there's
got
still
a whole lot of
unknowns,
engineering
Peter.
and documentation given to us already. We've had 2
And-
nights of public hearings.
And just so everybody else is aware, I mean, we've had multiple meetings with all the staff. We have a development review team in town, and we've had 4 or 5 individual meetings with just this project. So this has been very well vetted with the staff.
Well,
Could it be a condition of approval that that information is provided? And you have it, you saw it, and again, to write it all out, whatever, he could provide it tomorrow, but it's a condition of the approval that that list is, in fact, part of the condition of the approval.
Yes.
There's a list of,
Be
Yes.
given to
here
staff.
it is,
Yes,
boom.
true. And I don't think there's a point where we could sit or need to have you just write it all out. It needs to be provided to
Right.
the staff, and it should be worded in such a fashion that in fact it will be submitted.
So,
It's like, for example, with one of the drawings that we need to provide you with is that corridor and where we've located the trash compactor. You don't have that as a floor plan that we have. That's
I
not,
have it with me tonight.
okay, so again, but that's
Yeah.
something that you didn't see. You're relying on me with my truthfulness that that's what we've done and that's what we have done. But
Okay.
again, that would be part of the condition.
All right.
And even the commitment with the veterans, I think, should be in there as a condition. Because that would open the door for,
I don't think we can dictate that.
No, you can't.
Why not?
I
No
just
more
know
than you
from
can do with
my,
any other business.
what it's being
So-
presented as for a veteran.
Well, it's because it's there now. I mean, that's what I brought up when we had
Still
the
gonna be
first
veterans
meeting.
housing, part of it.
Yeah, There's
Well, I
a,
agree with that, but I'm just saying, that's. could be
well,
part of
I
the
agree,
conditions.
but I was on the board of directors there, and I know that the difficulty of getting an answer from the veterans is, it's like, are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, they should be one part of that, so.
Well, I understand, but the objective here is to create the space available for it. And who knows if the funding is gonna come through, so you don't know whether it's gonna go or not, but
Right.
at least we're talking about providing the opportunity to do these things and all parts and pieces that are involved in the plans and what's been presented and so forth. This all makes a lot of sense. And-
my feeling on the veterans is, as long as there's a demand, they're gonna be there. And for a long-term commitment, they're not gonna get it probably. but there is a demand in this area for the
Correct.
veterans'
I agree.
services that are provided up there now.
I agree.
So, I think, you know.
Well, that's why they are there, and I know they've gotten a good response from veterans going to there. Because where do you gotta go? You get out along the shore, you gotta go to Hartford.
Yeah.
So,
No, I've had relatives there and taken them there, and they've had very good
yeah, that's what
care.
I've heard.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody finished with ever comments and questions?
Yep.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. All right, we got some discussing to do.
Thank you for
So-
spending time with us. Appreciate it.
All right, let's go back to our agenda here.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
My dad was a machinist. I remember going to his places of work, the old belts. I'm sure we
Oh, geez.
Black belts.
You know, a screw machine operator for a while when he first started. So as a
Yeah.
kid,
Every time it came to the splice, you'd hear it whack. Yep.
I bought a company that had a steam engine. Now you wish you had it. Well, I gave it to,
Well, you wish you had it, you'd save us time.
oh, yeah, yeah, but the EPA wouldn't let me run.
I know.
They shut me down.
Yep.
Before I bought it, I had to sign disclosures. I think George's insistence on having documents that gives us a roadmap.
Oh, we need it, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a
exactly.
roadmap if they come back.
Yep.
And we say, well, you said you were doing this. So you have something to gauge what you've
Yes.
approved.
Exactly.
So those prints right there, was those the ones that were shown tonight on the screen?
Those are new revised.
Okay. The revised ones. Do we have
David
one?
already just made arrangements, we're gonna meet tomorrow, so this will be,
All right.
we're right on it.
All right, so we're into number 5, the PZC 23-10-1. I'm a little confused what that is all about right now. You said they want to come in and they want to do detailing?
Yeah,
That's not
so,
what this says.
I apologize, Shane, our new land use coordinator, really has been working with them the closest. I don't know if you've had any interaction with them. I haven't really either. So my understanding is they don't wanna do automotive sales anymore, they just wanna open as a detail garage place.
Do you have anything in writing from them in an application?
The only thing we asked for, they did extend their review period, cause they weren't gonna be here tonight, but I think they're gonna come on the 10th. That's their plan, to finally show you
I
something
think,
to.
think we
approve.
need updated paperwork from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What they're doing, what their plan is.
And what their plan is?
Does it,
Okay.
All right,
doesn't
But,
mirror
but
what?
it is kind of evolved, see, this is why I didn't want them to originally come, cause they weren't ready. But they wanted to come before you to get some ideas and know what to do for guidance. But I think Shane has been really working with them the most, and she was out today, so I didn't have a chance to, conversation about
Well, I
it.
think if they're gonna come into our next meeting, then have a very specific application that clearly states what they wanna do, so that we can act.
And some type of a print drawn up.
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely need a site plan.
Okay.
So you wanna just,
It should just be tabled or postponed or whatever.
I make a motion, we table PZC 23-10-1.
I'll second that.
all right, any further discussion on the motion? All in favor? Okay. So what's the date of our next meeting?
It's gonna be, cause it's Columbus Day, it's
Tuesday.
Tuesday the
Tuesday the
10th.
Tuesday the 10th.
I hope everybody can make it. But that wasn't on the original schedule that we had
Okay,
done for the beginning of the year.
all right. Let's talk about the other issues that are on old business, and let's take the item C first. And that was the
Martha alone. Home occupation.
just want to get the draft motion here. Martha Malone. Okay. So we have a draft motion with regards to this application. So if anybody would like to move forward.
Let me read it.
Yeah.
And if you would like to add the no signage, I know that that's not their intent, but if you wanna put that in as a condition,
What's that?
like
No
there's
signage.
gonna
Oh,
be no
yeah,
signage
exactly.
or.
As an alternate, I can't speak on a special permit after it's closed, right, or can I?
No,
I think so.
that's why you gotta speak while we got
Like the motion, make a motion to approve application 23-13-1, special permit approval. Applicant Representative Martha Aman, owner Martha Aman, Romulio Romero. Location 155 Matthew Road. Proposed home occupation, special permit application in Highland Lake District, zoning district. One, in evaluating this application, the Planning and Zoning Commission has relied upon information provided by the applicant, and if such information subsequently proves to be false, deceptive, incomplete, and or inaccurate, this permit shall be modified, suspended, or revoked. Two, this application is consistent with the town's plan of conservation and development. Three, this application meets the criteria and standards of 3J common regulations, special permits, special exceptions. Four, no signage is allowed on the premises. She was talking about deliveries, or materials and stuff.
She said they weren't getting any deliveries at the
I think
moment
we should put that in as condition number
Sure.
5. No deliveries are allowed
to that
to
site.
this location.
And storage of
No
material?
deliveries or storage of
Yes.
materials.
Yes.
I put no deliveries or storage of materials allowed. Item 5.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second, okay, John.
John? Any discussion further on the motion? All in favor of the motion? Okay. You need to,
You do, yeah. He's second. Let's let him sign it.
He gets it
Oh, I gotta sign it too. Gotta sign it.
Everybody
Everybody
does.
signs.
I didn't second it, John did.
Oh, John did, okay. Pass it down here, so.
He was quick throwing as well.
We usually sign it. Second it all the time, so.
John beat him to it.
Sorry about that.
September.
Where'd it go?
Okay, number 2 of the, what we had presented to us was the PZC 23-14-1, special permit applicant Beata Vranchik, owners Beata Vranchik, location 112 Birdsell Street, home occupation special permit in town single-family zoning. I've got a draft here. Who would like to take a look at it?
To approve application number 23-14-1, special permit approval, applicant Representative Beta Vrancic, owner Beta Vrancic, 112 Birdsall Street. Proposal, home occupation special permit application in town, single-family TSF zoning district. In evaluating this application, Planning and Zoning Commission has relied upon information provided by the applicant, and if such information subsequently proves to be false, deceptive, incomplete, or inaccurate, this permit shall be modified, suspended, or revoked. This application is consistent with the town plan of conservation and development. This application meets the criteria standards of 3J, common regulations, special permits, special exceptions.
Okay, again, I'd say what has been brought up on the previous one, that we don't have any
I think the signage and also the home deliveries.
Oh, that's the same for this one?
Well, no signage
No
on the
signage.
property, but, I mean, she's gotta get material in order to produce
Yeah,
these
she's
things.
gonna have to get deliveries, right? We didn't talk about that.
No, we didn't talk about it, but, you know, how often, and
Well, if she's gonna,
you're looking at a side street that's not very large with Burzall Street, and commercial trucks driving up there, and how often?
well, she still has to get material in
Right.
order to
She
bake.
can get materials at her Main Street
But she can get them
store.
delivered to her store on Main Street, need be.
Should I,
She's got a location on Main Street where she can get the deliveries.
do we have that in here?
Well, we can't direct her to where she's gonna
No,
get
I
it,
know,
but
but-
she can't get it there.
I'm
is what's
just
the question.
concerned with neighbors with commercial trucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
out
agree
there.
with you. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's my concern.
She does have an alternative.
Yeah,
If we say no
Right.
deliveries at the site, then
Yeah.
she does have an alternative.
So, add it in.
yeah, go ahead.
Bulk material?
I know, that's what I'm thinking, because you would probably order stuff that's gonna come UPS or whatever, I mean, that's.
Well,
Right,
baking supplies or
Right.
for the business, you know, it's,
yep,
everyone gets Amazon or
Right.
UPS or FedEx, but you're talking now with almost a commercial
And
bakery
we don't
at
have
home.
enough manpower to supervise every moment it goes
Right.
on to do, so let's be serious.
So I'll go ahead and add, no, no signage and no deliveries
For the business.
For a business,
For the
for
business.
business purposes.
right.
Okay.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor of that motion? Okay. All right. You want to put the date on the top of that as well?
Right.
25th.
Yep.
Thank you. Set that down, please. The next item on this is what is it, number 5B, PZC 23-12-1, special permit and site plan approval, applicant Representative David Batista Haley Ward, in conjunction with Paul Selnauer, Shadler, Selnauer Associates, PC, owner Winchester Health Center Incorporated, location 115 Spencer Street, proposal redevelopment of the Winchester Health Center for housing and artisan makerspace. So we have a draft motion. We've gotten a packet that was handed to us. Just get my hands on what I've got it here. So I think we should include the, well, first of all, this wetlands should be included in the file because that's a condition on there, but we don't include what they've done. We've got the response here on September 18th that was submitted to us that has a lot of the details that was presented to us. And you're gonna meet tomorrow to get the complete list of the documents and the dates of each of the pages. And
when we do the approval letter, we can list out each one.
Yes,
When we do it, so.
yes. So we've got a September 18th submittal. It including the hours of operation of 8 AM to 9 PM, 7 days a week. You got the September 18th document that was submitted by Shadler Sedau Associates. I think that should be included in the approval, and the information packet on, for entrepreneurial and advanced skill training makerspace at Winston Health. So all three of these things, including the list of the documents that you're gonna get tomorrow, should be included with this. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve application 23-12-1, special permit, site plan approval, applicant Representative David Batista, Haley Ward, in conjunction with Paul Selnow, Shadler Selnow Associates PC, owner, Winston Health Center Incorporated, location 115 Spencer Street. Proposal redevelopment of Winston Health Center for housing and artists and makerspace. Number one, in evaluating this application, the Planning and Zoning Commission has relied upon information provided by the applicant. And if such information subsequently proves to be false, deceptive, incomplete, and/or inaccurate, this permit shall be modified, suspended, or revoked. Number two, this application is consistent with the town's plan of conservation and development. Number three, this application meets the criteria and standards of 3.J Common Regulations, Special Permits, Special Exceptions. So we've got to add the two documents from September 18th, and I don't know if there's a document date on this. Sidebar, you know.
I didn't see any dates on that.
All right, I'm gonna put a date on here of 25 September. 3.
Where was the hours of,
So we would,
where was the hours of operation?
Didn't say. They
What's
said
the
in
question?
Discussion.
I was just asking where the hours of operations were in these papers.
It-
It didn't.
never
it didn't
said.
have it, they gave it to us, and I just copied it in here on the sheet that we're gonna include.
You were saying 8 AM to 9 PM?
Yes, correct,
And
7
that's
days
for the
a week.
makerspace?
That's
Yes.
for the whole, yes. Yeah.
I got a suggestion to change that one, should.
Yeah, that's the makerspace part.
Right,
It's,
because basically,
Well, it's
the residents
residential.
of-
Oh, no, it's gonna be whatever, but
Well,
this is
right.
for the makerspace.
the makerspace.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So this whole document would get included as part
Yes,
of the
I never-
conditions.
Yeah,
Never
but
saw
it-
the makerspace
I
hours.
wrote through it 3
Okay.
times.
Yeah, so we've got these three things. So we'll add those. Lance is gonna get the entire list of documents that are associated with this. So is there anything else you can think of?
Oh, you were talking the hours, 8 AM to 9 PM. I was thinking of bringing up 8 AM to 9 PM Monday through Friday, and 9 AM to 7 PM Saturday and Sunday, just for the makerspace.
Okay.
I mean, if it needs to be revised at a later date, they can come back
Well,
to
no,
us
exactly, but
and
we've got,
revise them, but to start,
all right, so that, you're talking 8 AM to 9 AM, that's 5 days.
9 PM, Monday through Friday. And then 9 AM to 7 PM Saturday and Sunday.
9 AM
To 7 PM
to 7 PM.
weekends. That's my suggestion.
Okay, I'll include that in the motion. All right, so I've written that on this. These are the documents that will be included and attached to this.
The one other I had was the discussion on the dumpsters we had. We don't have a height on what dumpsters or what, kind compactor height is or anything else, so that basically all enclosures should be a minimum of 1 foot higher than any containers or compactor. For the enclosures.
So we want to say the compactor and the dumpster.
Dumpsters, enclosures shall be a minimum of 1 foot higher than what's inside there. I think that's all I had.
Okay. So you're gonna have, so, we've got, this is number 5, number 6, number 7. All right, so we got all that I read, plus the height 1 foot higher than the compactor dumpster for enclosure heights, and then we'll add 5, 6, and 7, which are these documents that I've got numbered. And so who will second it?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion on that?
And I apologize if I'm putting any kind of wrench in, I'm just asking, did you want to include anything about water and sewer infrastructure improvements?
No, those, frankly, if there's something has to be done in order to make this thing work, they're gonna have to get approval from sewer and water and so forth, so I don't think we have to
Okay.
make it. They're not gonna put something in that's not gonna function.
Okay.
Anybody
Yeah, 'cause
else?
they're gonna have to come back with the water flow, what flow they need for fire and stuff like that, and see if it's
Based on
adequate.
including any other, like the documents that we were talking about before.
Yeah, that's, good point. I said we're gonna include it, but I didn't list it. So number 8 would be, complete list of the submitted documents.
Submitted documents.
All right. And you're gonna second it, so,
Yes, I'll second it.
okay. All in favor of that motion? Okay. unanimous. So-
Good luck.
I missed it, so. Is it? Right. They answered it, see? Here you go. Trip on there. This thing, paper today.
All right. Okay, number 6 is new business. We talked about, we added the 824 referral from, this is from 47 Orchard Street. This is the, everybody has a copy of that, I believe, right?
And I apologize, I know you guys like to go look at the properties. I can tell you, this house is in tough shape. It deserves no benefit for the town to keep it, so if we can sell it, that would be great.
I'll make a motion to give a positive referral for the 824 referral, I should say, to 47 Orchard Street.
Here's a document here you can use.
Motion, Winchester Planning and Zoning Commission approved the 824 referral for the sale of town-owned .72 acres 3,548 square foot home at 47 Orchard Street located in town, single-family zoning district.
John is, moved a second. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor? Okay. All right, number 7 is continued discussion regarding final proposal of driveway regulation language. You should have copies of that.
It's happening. It's really happening.
Yeah, geez.
Gonna make it happen. It's only been a year.
Jim's gonna give us a whole new thing to bring up and talk about, right?
Only one.
Only one.
What I did is I printed out the latest iteration.
It's different than what we've already been
It's
handed.
essentially the same thing, except it's highlighted to such that it's gonna be a little easier to follow for
Same thing
everybody.
as this, right?
It's the same, it's just, yeah, it's not the same.
Not the
It
same.
looks identical until you get into it.
I got this.
Okay.
Oh.
We've got an extra one, I'll wait for Charlene, we'll put together a packet for it. If you don't have an extra.
So what I, for the record, Jim Rollins, Public Works Director. What I just handed out is just the same version that you guys had before I came. I just highlighted a few things to make it a little more clear and easy to follow along, because we kind of got lost the last time we did it. This iteration, I put in all the comments that we had from our last meeting together, sent it off to Nelligan, and put his comments in, and then emailed it off to you guys like the next day. So it's the same document. The only thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is the stuff that's in red is new language, either from Nelligan or your comments, or just what I did to clarify my understanding of your comments. In the yellow, those highlights are just things, notes that we may want to just kind of tidy up a little bit. We left them a little bit vague last time. And then the only difficult thing, and this is still from last meeting, is the blue highlights on section 3.5 and 4.2. Trying to make those so they don't conflict. So we'll just go through this one by one, and I think we can knock these out really pretty quickly. So going down the definitions to 1.5, we had questions regarding, who should sign the permits? The owner, the person with the right of way, who's the right person? So Nelligan's answer to that is all persons having legal title or easement to the property used for the driveway shall sign the driveway application. So that would be in addition to the first line there. And that was, the reason that's highlighted P and Z is because that was a question that was kind of brought to the surface from you guys.
So can we talk about that?
Yes, we can.
all persons having legal title or easement to the property used for the driveway shall sign the driveway application. Now, in instances where you've got multiple people that have easements, that's gonna be an impossible job.
Especially around the lake.
Mm-hmm. You get properties with 3, 4, 5 people that have easements to, on a driveway, and you're gonna have to get, if you're the first person in line, then you're gonna have to get all of those people to sign it so you can pave or improve your section of the driveway? I don't think that.
I mean, legally, I think it should be just the legal owner, not the people that have an easement, because the legal owner is the one that's paying the taxes on it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a right of way across it, you should have a say.
And that's a right of way to pass and repass, it
Right.
doesn't say,
It doesn't say maintenance or,
unless you have a driveway agreement.
right.
All good points. Next. I have to get more feedback, because
Yeah, I don't blame you on that.
those are all good points. So, I added, under definitions, 1.10. We keep making reference in here to new driveways and existing driveways, and we didn't have a definition for new driveways. So, throughout all the driveway permits that I've issued and driveways I've built and driveways I've looked at, some people say, well, it's an existing driveway because it's paved. Well, they paved over topsoil, or somebody did. They had scrap material and just put it over, like it had no substantial base, it wasn't a real driveway, and they're trying to claim that it is. So I wanted to define that as meaning a new driveway shall mean a completely new construction which did not exist with an adequate and significant base aggregate and/or properly paved surface. And I think that's a pretty reasonable way to describe it. If you want to tweak it, that's fine, but I think it needs to be there, and I think that pretty much sums up the problems I see.
I agree with you, Jim.
People have, people park on their lawn, and they say, well, I've been parking here for years. Well, it's your lawn, and you have been parking on it for years, but it's not.
Not a driveway.
That's
Right, so.
Which
that's-
we've had to address in a number.
And when we start talking about existing footprints and so forth and so on, it's gonna be a lot easier to be consistent with this language in there than without it.
Okay.
1.14, street line shall mean the property line where a parcel meets the road, right-of-way line. We kinda went over that last meeting. That was just the language that I added to make it official. 2.2, I assume, Lance, there's a defined coverage minimum that the town needs on a certificate of insurance. We need to just,
Put that in.
or put
Reference
in
it.
something reference to what
Yeah, 'cause
the
it could
current,
change.
the current limits are, because those may change over time. You don't want to revisit this.
No, it shouldn't have to change every time. So there's gotta be someplace where it's written, and just reference that section where it is maintained, because then it can be changed.
I wanna stop you there, Jim, because I wanna go to 2.5 instead of 2.6.
Hang on a second. Yeah, I just wanted to write to reference where those coverage limits exist.
Could you say something like define coverage minimums at the time of application date or something?
We can work on that,
Okay.
that language.
But you know that you're gonna, rather than put a specific amount in, you'll refer to wherever
Yeah.
it comes from.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry, Troy, what was that?
Before you get on to 2.6, the 2.5, I had a lot of discussions with people, you know, that in general public and also with paving contractors. So I want to get a better idea of that $1,000 bond. So if I'm understood, a normal person who is repaving their driveway with not significant drainage or grading does not have to pay the $1,000. That's only for like new driveways or different construct, because that's gonna be a problem. If you're just a normal home like my house, okay, so my driveway, I wanna do it again, it's cracked. It's not bad, but it's cracked. So I would like to pull the asphalt out, put a little bit more process back in there, grade it, and pave it. I'm not gonna change any grades, cause you can't. Where I am, it's flat, it's a small little driveway. But does that mean I have to put $1,000 to do that? Cause that needs to be, I don't think that's gonna stall, you know yourself. The paving window is very small. If you have to deal with putting $1,000 bond and going through all that, that's gonna slow the process down.
It doesn't really slow it down. It's, the land use organization handles bonds for every wetlands permit. It's just a
Right, but
fast thing.
why
We go
should I have
through
to
it.
pony up $1,000 to do something that I'm not changing
And
anything?
you're paying for the improvements.
Right.
Well,
You know,
you're
I
getting
mean, it's
your.
gonna cost me $5,000 for my driveway, and then I gotta give you $1,000 to sit on for a month or two, and then I
and
get
then
it
you
back. Still,
It's,
a month or
you know,
two is a
so
month or two.
It's an effort to, protect the town from, you know, bad aprons, bad,
Well, I'm talking
you know.
complete paved job, not talking apron or gravel driveway or anything, I'm talking a complete, it needs to be defined, cause this is gonna be bad for people in town if we do that. I mean, you're asking somebody to come up with $1,000 to sit on for 2 months for nothing. I mean, if I plan on repaving my driveway in its entirety, I'm gonna do it the right way, because it's gonna benefit me and the town.
Yeah,
I
but
wish that were true
Yeah,
for all
that's
people,
right.
but if you're gonna be repaving your driveway, the average person isn't gonna be repaving their own driveway. The driveway contractor, typically what they do is they post a bond with us already anyway, and it just sits there, because they just ka-ching, 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 so I don't think
So you're gonna
it's.
throw that on the contractor and not the homeowner?
That's where it is now. Somebody has to post a bond. If the homeowner wants to do it, I guess they could, the contractor could. You know, I think minimum
I'm just, that one isn't sitting right with me, that's all. I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but.
a minimum $1,000 refundable cash bond shall be posted to secure the completion of any paving, grading, or drainage improvements or site restoration required by the permit. The bond amount may be increased by any amount determined by the Planning and Zoning Commission or the zoning enforcement official to cover the cost of improvements in the permit. The applicant may apply in writing for the refund of the cash, bond, inspection, public works, okay. So what's your suggestion? Get rid of it altogether? No bonds? Like,
I
don't-
think you
don't know
could
how
do
big
that
that's
on
gonna-
a new driveway, anything that's new, yes. But I don't think you should penalize, the town people
It's not
that
really a-
just wanna change. It is, it's
It's not really a
it's
penalty.
$1,000. You got $1,000 to
It's a
sit in the
bit-
bank for?
It's a bit of an $1,000 for a couple of months. I don't know what it's gonna cost. It's a pretty small
I mean,
inconvenience.
I don't
But
have
if you don't-
$1,000 to sit in the bank for 2
but if-
months if I'm gonna pave my driveway.
But if you don't wanna protect the town from anything, then get rid of it. That's fine. This is trying to hold people accountable to the activities that they're proposing. Again, you guys are the boss. You want that gone, it can be gone with a strike of
Becomes
the
a
pen.
problem at a later date, we can change that too.
You can change it either way. You can
Right.
add it later,
That's
or
up
you can
to
take it
second.
out later.
You're gonna have a lot of people pissing and moaning about that one, I guarantee it. Because who wants to come up with an extra grand to pave their driveway. I mean,
I think
to
it's,
me,
I
that's
think it's
ridiculous.
typically more about the inconvenience of having to make another transaction with the town. And the person that's pulling the permit, if it's a paving job, is the driveway contractor. And then it's not out of the ordinary. They just come in and they do it when they make their payment. You can do it online. I don't think it's gonna be that big a hassle. If I were a contractor, I wouldn't really wanna be doing it. If I was an owner, I wouldn't really wanna be doing it. But as a representative of the town, I think it's a good idea for us to have it in place. But if you want it off, just tell me to take it off and I will strike it from
My
the.
vote is off. You guys can make your own decisions, but that's my vote. I don't think that needs to be on there. It could be for brand-new driveways only.
Those
That you're
affecting
building
the
a
apron,
brand-new house.
right? Those that are affecting the apron.
Well, yeah, it's the
Any-
way it's
any-
worded, it's any driveway.
any
Could be
driveway,
gravel,
yeah.
could be anything.
Any driver that's affecting the apron.
Right,
Any activity, right, affecting the
right.
apron. Reconstruction or new.
So if you're doing a gravel driveway and the town has to pave the apron, the apron's about $750 right now, right? So you're getting $250 more than you're needed to for the, and that's what I'm saying. That to me, I mean, I have no, if you could show me another town that does that, then I would back you up on that. But I don't know of another town that would charge you $1,000 to repave your driveway.
We're not charging it. We're securing a deposit and then you get your.
You are, because you still have to
Well,
move it $1,000,
I
right?
put it to a vote, whatever you guys want, I'll do. That's
Well, it
all.
also requires a final inspection, which this is one of the things we've.
They get a final inspection, otherwise
This
you don't.
will guarantee you're gonna get a final inspection, which there's so many things that are done, don't
You
ever.
do what you want, I'm just saying that, I'm against that.
No, I hear you, but I think it's good that we finally get, some enforcement that requires the inspections, but, I don't know, what do you think?
I think we need to leave it in there,
Leave
I
it in?
do too.
because otherwise you're not gonna get any inspection after the fact.
Yeah.
But does it have to be 1,000? Could it be
999.
500?
Could be 500, could be whatever.
I mean, I agree with, this way, you're gonna get a final inspection, all that
Reduce it to
stuff.
500, at
And,
least it's something.
and we have the option of raising it if it's a bigger job.
So do it at 500.
Down to 500.
How about something it's a compromise that take out the minimum altogether and just put a refundable cash bond may be required.
There's a lot of onus on you.
Yeah,
Well,
but it's,
I mean,
but
he's
it's
gonna
not.
determine whether
Well,
it's gonna be a problem.
It's gonna be, the onus is actually gonna be on a combination of planning and zone, the agent and myself. That's who's gonna make this decision 90% of the time. We get an application, we look at its complexity, and if it's a gravel driveway on a gravel road and there's no, wetlands, there's not gonna be an apron, that's a time I could see, like, yeah, whatever, you're good to go.
Yeah. So your word, it may be
And,
required.
based on the complexity, it's no different than any other bond that you guys do based on its complexity, or the Wetlands Commission does based on its complexity. This is just a,
Well,
So I mean, you can leave it in there, right? But say at the discretion of the Planning and Zoning Commission. So in other words, not every driveway's gonna have to put up $1,000 bond, because not every driveway's gonna need to put up $1,000 bond.
Why not just put it down simple? A refundable cash bond may be required.
May be required.
May be required. Then
That's
we can
just what
state-
Jimmy was
Yep.
saying.
I'll
And
go with that.
That would be up to the discretion of everybody
Right.
then.
If it's not gonna be a problem for the town, it's.
Part of the
simple.
permit process.
so a refundable cash bond may be posted to secure completion of any paving, grading.
Great, yeah.
So we're gonna have to review every driveway permit?
Well, you do anyway.
Well, that's part of what this is all about.
We're going to
In
be.
our regulations.
It's our regulations.
We would like to.
well, you bring up a good point for for the efficiency of the process, it seems that as like everything else, the applications come into the office. When they need my input on an application, they push it forward. There's a review an intake process and a review process where we decide what an application needs in order to be complete. And, the slam dunks that are existing footprint, no changes, I kind of see that as being, in wetlands, that would be agent determination. I don't know what
Right.
you guys have for this, for equal
Same thing.
Well, we have,
stuff, but if there's something that's not slam dunkable, not take out exactly
we
what
do
I
that
have.
now with some buildings where there's no changes to the outside of the structure, they're just making
Yeah.
changes inside.
Yeah, so it's the same kind of.
But you don't require like an A2 survey or anything like that.
Right, because because you don't want it to turn into this just ridiculous
No, you don't want to depend on
process. And,
people with personalities too. a lot
yeah,
of it, too.
and it's, the speed of the process, Again, most driveway maintenance that's done by people is gonna be as of right. Most driveways that get real considerable work are gonna be contractors. And it's not like they show up expecting to get a permit today and put it in tomorrow. Paving contractors think ahead, pretty well, because they have to. So, the ones that care about getting permits at all, that is.
Yeah, right.
So that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother challenge. But, I think keeping it, we decided on the minimum last time. If we wanna just, make it vague like that,
Make it maybe required.
may be required, and then, I'll just reword that so that that's what it says. Then we can, I'm happy to do that.
Just to be clear, we're gonna vote on every driveway permit?
No, I think we've got to have some kind of determination that if it comes into the planning office, that it may not.
So,
have to come.
let's just go back to
Yeah.
the general conditions that pretty much answer that, or which one? I'll find it here.
Why don't we go page by page? and we
Yeah,
get that?
it'll show
Yeah,
itself.
'cause otherwise we're
Well,
gonna
it
be
might
able-
not, because I didn't highlight the stuff that was already, pretty much agreed to. All right, we got 2.5. 2.6, that was one thing that was, it was on the it'll be on the application, but we wanted to make note of it just in the regulation,
Yeah,
that
that
we
makes
needed a call
sense.
before you dig number. That's
Yeah.
common sense. 3.4, at the last meeting, we talked about all these dimensions. I have highlighted on there the 5% and the 8%. The 5% came from the fire marshal, because that's what the fire code and fire apparatus is designed to accommodate. The 8% was put in there because the state DOT allows 8% coming off of a road. I don't know that it makes much sense if DOT is running 8%, that we even keep the 5%. That's the only reason I brought it up. If I have the ability in the apron to go to 8%, why not just make it 8%? And so few of ours can meet the 5% anyway.
I think 8 is
So go to the 8.
So
all
just,
the way through,
okay,
my opinion.
it's just because last meeting, that's what we decided on, and I just didn't wanna make a change without,
Mhm.
3.5. So what I did to this to make it a little more, so that it didn't conflict with 4.2, was I added in 3.5, no new driveway shall have a portion over, less than narrower than 10 feet. No new driveway shall have a grade greater than 15% along its length. Which is different than existing ones, because existing ones are what they are. It's very difficult to change that, very much. And then really the only thing left that conflicts with 4.2 is 4.2 says that, you know, any driveway, you know, driveways, surfaces exceeding 12% must be paved, blah, blah, blah. Where this one says, driveway between 12% and 15% may not exceed a certain percentage of the driveway, 20%, without being paved. So, is it gonna be everything over 12%? I think that would be fine for new driveways. You know, there's a lot of driveways out there that are fine without paving on 12 and even steeper percentages than that. But, you know, Troy, you're right, 12% is about the sweet spot where they start getting difficult to maintain. Somebody that uses the right materials, drives well, and does reasonable maintenance, do we wanna penalize them by making them pave it? And a lot of the sections of driveways have no real impact on the public. If they wanna have a driveway that's steep and difficult to get into, from my point of view, that's their option. Planning and zoning has a little bit different charge than public works, or, you know, you're trying to kinda make the community safe. If fire apparatus can't get out there, what's it do to the neighbors? So, you know,
The problem is that, you know, as I drive around Connecticut, we've got so many steep slope areas, and you look at driveways and say, how did anybody even, you know, buy that piece of property to put a house on it? But you see them, and, you know, winters aren't as severe as they used to be years ago either, so far.
you know, I just take a look at this one here, you know, the house that went up on Crescent Street. You know, that driveway, you know, that's pretty steep.
Yeah.
You know, they put millings down, and millings are only good until they aren't, and then it's nothing but gravel. So, that being a new construction, I think should have had those steep sections paved, whereas I think an existing driveway, you know, it wasn't part of the requirements then, it seems. But I think for the new construction, maybe to make that consistent, I can just put,
142, would you change that to 15%? Then it wouldn't conflict with 3.2.
yeah, I don't know.
That's 3.5 is talking new driveways, and 4.2 is existing driveways.
But do we have any say over a driveway that was put in 20 years ago?
No, you don't have to say over
Not
new driveway.
unless they're reconstructing or something.
Right,
Because you've got driveways that are steep along the lake.
All over.
Everywhere.
Just keep flushing down into the street.
Got them all over.
you got them everywhere.
Got them everywhere. Park
And-
Pond, Winchester, all over.
I'm working out an ordinance in Norfolk that if you have a gravel driveway and the gravel goes in the road, you're responsible to clean it up. Because I'm done doing that. Every time it rains. Sweeping.
Jimmy's been doing this too,
No.
you don't
And
make any
it's-
We
progress.
should have an ordinance for that to make everybody pay for their own.
This one, somewhere in here, does
Well, let's get through this one here.
say that at your expense, we clean that up.
Oh, it does say in that?
Somewhere in here, yeah.
Okay, good.
So, do we just take 4.2 out of there? Because and just keep 3.5 as dealing with new driveways? You know, now that we can hold them accountable for cleaning up the roadway, you know, and I guess wetlands could hold them accountable if things are migrating into a wetland or a water course. They may have to pave it just to
So that doesn't
just to
happen.
avoid it,
Yeah.
but,
You
Yeah,
eliminate
I-
4.2, there's no conflict.
Yeah.
But 4.2 doesn't say, 3.5 doesn't say that you have to pave, does it? I didn't see that.
Well, for new driveways, if it's,
Over 12%.
over 20% of the length or surface area, and you're between 12, it has to be paved over 15%, 15% or over.
Right.
But between 12 and 15, it's only if it's a significant portion of the driveway, 20%. And that's for new driveways. And so I think the reason that 4.2 was put in there is because it's under paving procedures is the heading for section 4. And then we kind of took care of the need for that when we put 3.5 in. We tweaked it a little bit when 3.5 went in and never really revisited section 4 to see
Yeah, I
whether we
think-
needed it
I
at
think
all.
just remove 4.2
At all.
myself.
Yeah, I don't think you need it.
Okay, that solves the most difficult
I'll
one.
go back up to 3.13,
3.1.
pull-offs. We need a size.
Oh, did we miss that one?
Where are you going?
Well,
3.13.
Oh,
yeah, 'cause we eliminated 4.2.
3.13,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Before we get there, 3.6. I've been paying a little bit closer attention to 3.6. Not including the driveway apron or switchbacks, no driveway shall contain a portion having a grade of more than 5% across its width. That's rather challenging.
You want a cross slope, right?
Yeah, cross slope, yeah.
Cross section.
And it's, if you're coming up a hill, that's obvious. But as a driveway, does this, you got your switchbacks, you got your corners. But like a horseshoe driveway, I was just looking at one at the lake the other day. A horseshoe driveway comes up one, gets in front of the garage, goes down the other. When is that a cross slope, or when is that a slope going up towards the driveway? I couldn't even define it on that. And, the applicant didn't bring that to my attention, but as I'm, looking at it to see if it conformed to the old ordinance, I'm also in my mind working on the new one, saying, ooh, this is a little bit challenging. 5% seems to be but you get much more than 5%, and a lot of people have a hard time even holding the doors, so
Right.
that's kind of the logic for it.
Well, some people, can put something in it, it's, how do you live with it? So if you got some guidance,
Yeah, so that's where that number came from, and it was in the old ordinance too.
Yeah, I would leave it then.
Okay. And again,
So 3.4,
3.4, yes,
we changed the 5% to 8,
yes,
so shouldn't we take out the
Yes.
DPW director?
Yep.
We're gonna take that line out?
yep.
Okay.
Okay, 3.13. Is there a size of a driveway pull-off passing zone? I do know I did a driveway some years ago in Colebrook, and they had a specific size. I don't remember what it was.
New Hartford's 500 feet, because I did it on my
No,
private.
not
No,
from
no, what
one to
size the
another.
pull-off is.
It's when you pull over, how big does that space have to be?
I believe it's the same, as a one car length. It's for one car.
Well, I think what
Well,
we're
you-
looking at, our driveways were talking 10 foot, so they should be 10 foot wide.
Right, yeah.
But I think I originally thought 30 feet long, but I think it should push that out to 50.
50 feet for a car?
Well, you're talking fire trucks,
That's
you're
right,
talking,
fire trucks.
talking fuel oil
Oh, yeah, I didn't
delivery or
think about
propane
that. Yeah,
delivery
you're right,
truck.
you're right, yeah.
You got a truck going in there,
Oh,
and
you're right.
they made a car, they gotta pull off. We've got 3,500 foot driveways up in Winchester.
Yeah, I know.
And,
Yeah.
look at the little lake,
I agree with you.
the best you got there,
So
I think it's 10 by 50 is what you
Do
need.
12 by 50?
12 by 50? I mean, I think that's, I was thinking something 12 by 40, 12 by,
Yeah, 12 by 50?
12 by 60.
So this is under
That gives you some
313?
room.
313.
Yeah, 3.13, yeah.
12 feet by 50 feet,
Yeah.
okay? Detail, 4.1, I just need to clean up that detail. I'll probably hire, I can't remember which one that is. Some of them I have cleaned up, some of them I'm gonna actually get a draftsman to draw up so that they're nice and clean. So that's just housekeeping. 5.6. 6.4, Nelligan had me remove that the town reserves the right to complete necessary, work at the, at the owner's expense. We weren't allowed to,
That's a temporary one.
yeah, we weren't allowed to do that.
6.3, you're gonna stay $1,000 bond as well?
And restoration cost exceeds the bond, well, that's our fault, so we gotta keep up on the bonds for the cost of,
Do we wanna make 6.3 the same as we did for the other bond at, maybe required?
well, this is a temporary access, so
Yep.
no,
Okay, okay,
I'd stick with that.
okay.
You're dealing with log companies and a lot of
Yes.
Agreed,
stuff that
They
they
make
come
more of a
here
mess.
once
Yep.
every 10 years. And,
okay.
We're good at bookkeeping bonds?
yeah, I think so.
For that one, yeah.
Well, you're gonna have them anyway. This one's just mandatory because it's
Oh.
a
Says
temporary.
minimum.
I'm just saying, we're good at bookkeeping how much the bond was when it.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have to.
the land use
It's
does
all
this
through.
all the time. Yeah, they do it
Yep.
for all kinds of,
If it's gonna be variable now?
yeah.
Okay.
It's a good point. We'll have to keep a very specific, yeah, good point on that. 'Cause, well, I think they're different on, wetlands are different every one.
They are.
So,
Mm-hmm.
that's another reason it makes sense to have this in the
Standardization.
land use rather than at public works, cause we're just not that structured. 7.7, it's the responsibility of the owner to request a final inspection from the zoning enforcement official promptly upon completion of the driveway or at any time during construction. And notifying the zoning enforcement official, they will also reach out to me and say, because they won't sign off on stuff. They'll have a checklist and, okay, we need you to sign off on this, and then I go out and look at it. So same as other permits. So building some consistency into the system. 8.2, so in a non-conforming driveway that's gotta be reconstructed, we were trying to get evidence for what was there so that people can build what they had back. And we had a list of, you can use, an old survey or an engineer's plans, but I also put any other legitimate historical documents or photos, which is kind of what we do, when people are trying to prove that they own a dock or a deck or something like that. And it just seemed, again, trying to be consistent with what other departments do is easier on staff, easier on applicants, and I think it makes sense. That one okay with everybody? Uh, 10.3, this is the language that, I believe I got this from Kevin at your request, so that it's the same language as what's in other planning and zoning, fee assessments. And then the only other thing I have here is the very last thing at the bottom highlighted. It's purple ink, which you can't see, but it's yellow highlighted. Do we want to consider an even, another customer-friendly option of just a driveway apron only permit? Because it doesn't impact, you guys at all. It's just,
How often do you run into that?
it happens. It's not like a once-a-year thing. It's several times a year. And it's, and you may see it more if you have that option, where people just want to improve their aprons. They want to put in a culvert across the front. They want to pave one that wasn't paved. That's probably the one you'll see the most. And so, again, is it a big deal? No, I just thought it might be something just to lessen the burden on staff a little bit, to give people, the optics that we are trying to make it easier for them where we can. Again, it was a last minute, thing, that's why it's at the very last thing, but it was the only other thing I could think of to throw at you.
My thoughts on that, Jim, are, I say no, because if they're gonna put an apron, that's gonna help us as a town. And they would have to, if they did it wrong, obviously it created an issue, then you could go back to them. But I mean, we wanna promote people to put aprons. I'd like to see all them paper roads in Highland Lake get aprons put on them. I mean, you see the damage that comes off of them every rainstorm. So I don't think we should promote that and not make it, where you'd have to get a permit to do it. Because an apron is, it's only 6 feet. It could hopefully.
Well,
it's
no,
more than that, but-
now if they were gonna put an apron in, they would have to get a permit from the whole, go through the whole process. This would just be a DPW permit, because that's the part of the driveway ordinance that Public Works has jurisdiction over. You guys have jurisdiction over everything from the property line into the property. Public Works has jurisdiction on the property line or street line out to.
Oh, so you're
the edge of
saying
the
to give
road.
you permission to give
Yeah.
permits for,
Oh,
oh,
then-
yeah, I'd say yes.
So I think if you want to do that, you'd want to do it after 2.6, make it like 2.7, because you got the description of the driveway apron under definitions. We've already got that there under 1.8. So if you wanted to do a 2.7, add in driveway apron permit only.
Okay.
Do a fee on that, leave it.
Can be issued through DPW.
I wish everybody would put aprons on their driveways.
You'd have to do like a 2.7.
Okay, I'll find a way to write that into 2.7.
I mean, that's under permits, bonds, and insurance section, so.
But I don't know that we can do that without a permit fee, or it won't even go through the system. And it's a $25, actually it's a $50 fee now.
Yeah, I think whatever the minimum is, 50
Yeah,
dollar fee, whatever. But
I think it's good for the whole record-keeping process to keep that consistent, and we're already, giving them a pass on the planning and zoning part.
Well, and it'll expedite it too, if they're just
Yeah,
looking to do it.
I think
Kind
keeping
of encourages them.
Yeah, I think keeping the fee is probably a smart move on that.
Are we all set with this, John?
I just got one, 2.2.
2.2.
You state, on forms furnished by the Planning and Zoning Commission and shall be accompanied by a plan. Now, is that a site plan or plot plan, or who decides what the plan is, a site plan or plot plan? Right, I assume that's one of those two,
Well, it's a driveway plan.
driveway plan. So like size and type?
So, yeah, we kept the word a plan because we didn't want to, because a site plan and a plot plan are two different things that have different information. Some people can get away with one, Some people have to go with another because of complexity. Some people, it can be, sometimes I can get a sketch right now from, somebody on a napkin, and it's more than adequate. So we didn't want to burden them with something, so yeah, we're leaving that up to staff to determine.
A plan, okay.
Yep.
And you decide that, right?
Yeah, we get random things in the, open gov, so we usually have to ask for more clarification.
Yeah, and we constantly, there's ambivalence in pretty much every application, so this isn't really out of the ordinary. You can, if somebody gives you enough information, then you're good.
Is it because we don't tell them what we need?
No, it's because every case is somewhat different,
That's correct.
and you don't,
It's people's skill set too.
it would be easy to tell somebody we wanted an engineered site plan on everything, but that's gonna cost you more than your driveway. So we're trying to make it as, but if
And
we
what
need more
town you're in.
information,
Yeah,
we
right.
have to demand a better plan. So we kept it general, and because of that, trying to help those who don't need much, be able to do it with ease.
So in order to get this thing acted on now, what do we need, 30 days notice?
So that's what I was gonna recommend, if Jim and I can maybe meet even tomorrow, you got your final wording, and
Yeah.
even if there's a little tweaking, I think it's okay. I'd like to give it to the COG, they give it for 35 days technically review, which would give us to the end of October. And we're talking about doing the ordinance removal with the selectmen in the meantime anyways, they're ready to approve that
Well,
at any time.
that's what we're trying to do, is set up the scenario so that we can
Yep.
make these
Kind
things
of to
happen.
marry them,
Yeah.
so when they
Yep.
get rid of the
So-
ordinance, our regulations go in.
I think we're really good, I would say by the end of October,
Well, like the
you would
first
do a
meeting in
public
November?
hearing. Yep.
For the public hearing,
Do a public hearing and
so why don't we set
Approve 'em.
that up then?
Yeah.
You're gonna fix 1.5, right?
Yep, appropriate to obtain, and we'll have to ask Kevin, but honestly, for the COG, they probably won't care one way or another if it says,
Well, just so that we can set the public hearing up for the first
yep.
meeting in November. All right. We talked about this a couple of years ago, is the parking lot regulations. We've never come up with that. And we've got the property that the town owns on Meadow Street. We need to come up with a regulation to deal with, parking lots that are not associated with a building right on the property, and we've talked about the need for it.
It is kind of funny because parking can't be the primary use of a property, and then we're gonna try to encourage these municipal lots, so there's a little conflict there.
Yeah, so we've gotta clean up what we should have something, because, the curb cuts, the whole 9 yards of landscaping and so forth should have some definition, because the town's gonna wanna get that site straightened out. We should give them some direction. We're not gonna do that tonight here, but that's something we should be, I don't know if you can find anything, other communities that have parking lot regulations, and maybe we could just incorporate that.
It's funny, I think we talked about it a year ago when I started,
Yeah,
but
we did.
yeah.
Subcommittee
Let me-
talked about it, we had some copies of different
Yep.
regulations
I'll follow up on that,
a
that's
while
fine.
ago.
We've got the other thing about our regulations, but it's 10 of 10 right now, and, so you're gonna do.
Since our next meeting is like a planning meeting, I was gonna suggest that we talk about that codification.
All right.
And if you guys really are uncomfortable with the red line changes, just approve what we already have as regulations to go into the system, and it's fine, and it's done.
On the
That's my
regulation
opinion,
part of it. Yeah, okay, well, let's put that on the agenda for the
Okay.
next one. And then if you can dig some material up on that parking lot stuff,
Mhm.
that'll help us. Okay, minutes of the September 11th meeting.
Make a motion to approve minutes of our September 11th, 2023 meeting.
Wait a second. Any discussion, comments, changes? All in favor?
You guys need to make a motion to, send this to the COG?
Well, that's what we just said we'll do.
Yeah, that's just normal practices, I would
Yeah.
reach out to Emily.
It
It'd
has
be
to be.
nice if we just have.
Yeah, but do you need an actual motion? 'Cause I
No.
don't- No, okay.
No.
Okay.
And the only reason why we have to is because there's driveways within 500 feet of the town boundary. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have to discuss it with them.
Okay.
So,
All right. We kept Jeff here all night. You got a September 22nd report. Want to give us a little update on what's going on and how you're making out with this?
Sure, it's an ongoing battle.
Yeah. It's one that hasn't been fought in recent years.
But you went from chickens to goats now.
Yeah, goats over there now. And the contention is that they are not livestock but pets, so not sure where to go with that exactly. I looked at our regulations, and sure enough, we have no regulations on pets, so there's one interpretation that says you can't have cats and dogs right now. So that, makes it a little bit crazy,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
yeah, that just came in, so it's sort of new.
All right.
Look up the definition of livestock in the dictionary, go with that. It's not well defined, just take what's in the dictionary.
Yeah.
And say this is it.
Thanks, Jim.
That's what I was told,
Yep.
actually, by, part of the driveway argument with lawyers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it might actually be a legit way to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll check it.
Good.
Just sort of going down the line, ECAD, you guys are pretty familiar there. They have been very compliant since we issued a bunch of zoning enforcement letters to them. The last issue really is just they want to lock up the timing, which I think you're aware, or the hours of operation, I should say.
I talked to Lance about it, and he mentioned about, should they go to ZBA, and I'd say, let's get something in writing from them, and their signature and so forth, so that when we act on it, we have something in the file rather than somebody having a conversation and misinterpreting.
Yeah, that would be good. And they have been complying, like I said, with the 8 to 6, with the carve-outs for the 7:30 to 7:30. I wouldn't say they're happy with it, but they're willing to live with it and able to live with it.
Well, they're
so-
the ones that told us that they.
Yeah.
the hours.
Right.
Had the list that was reported from our friend Mr. Bashand. I had worked with the property owners there that potentially had violations. Turns out there weren't any. There were a couple blight violations, which work in its own process, but as far as illegal businesses on site, that was no. 45 Beach Street not only is still being maintained, but it's now up for sale, so hopefully that headache is behind the town. We have our on-site meeting coming up for North Main Street. That's the Mr. Click property, Captain Click. With at least, maybe him, but at least some of his representatives to make sure he's addressing all our areas of concern after Lance and I walked the entire property.
we came up with, I believe, 7 areas that kind of needed
Sounds right.
immediate attention.
Yeah.
And so that's what's prompting this October meeting.
And it was, that was my first time on site, but it was partially grown in then, so we figure it's even more grown in now.
Yeah.
So that, is good, I guess. Well, 59 Grove Street we talked about. 308 East Wakefield, this is one I haven't really gotten into yet, but it also appears on my wetlands report. And they asked me to sort of step that up, so I sent an email to Kevin just today on that to see exactly where we are with him and how we can pursue that. 41 Meadow Street, I did issue a friendly blight letter. I spoke with Mr. Iflin, gave me his history report of how his property got to the state it is now. In any event, he said he was going to at least take care of the heavy vegetation, and he was gonna submit a memo to me on how he hopes to address the other concerns. So this was my sort of opening salvo with him, and we'll see how that goes.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
It is good. I've been trying to make some contact with him basically since I've started. So I'm kind of glad that you had to do, unfortunately, you had to do it through blight, but if we can get a conversation with them,
Yeah,
I think
sometimes
it'll result in something positive.
Yeah.
The ongoing issue with the High Street parking behind 536, 522, and all those properties. As luck would have it, Lance and I stopped by one day. We happened to see a work truck parked there. I took some pictures, and that contractor happened in the office for some other business. Showed him the picture, asked him what was going on. He said this was one of his employees lives in one of those units. This is not one of the businesses that was registered to those addresses. But I just started talking through with him, let him know what was going on, what we were hoping to accomplish. He said he was gonna talk to his staff and hopefully not have that truck parked there anymore. I haven't heard any complaints since then, but, you know, hopefully any little bit could help there. 787 Main Street's Quick Stop. They had already complied with the issues I had brought to their attention, but Charlene pointed out that they had some additional signage zip tied to some utility poles at the gas station. He sent him an email, he took them right down. So that was good. I think he knows he's got to play by the rules now. 3 Rocky Ridge. At the time that I printed the report, I had not contacted the owner again. I spoke with him today. He and or his wife is coming in tomorrow to finalize the zoning permit, and that'll take care of that issue. There were actually no violations up there, but I didn't want to clear the record until he got that in place.
And
Similarly,
actually, I'll just say, Peter, thank you for bringing it to our attention, but I was very impressed with that homeowner. He knows what he's doing. It wasn't just, I've got a backhoe and I'm out there. So when he finally gets his garlic farm in, it's actually gonna be very impressive.
No comment.
No comment, but we'll see.
No comment.
along those same lines, 111 Mundry Road, once I was able to actually get the letter to the homeowner, this is one that needs to go through Torrington to get delivered. She called in and we had a nice chat about that. The clearing of the land itself wasn't a violation, but I said, we anticipate you're gonna be doing something. And she said, yeah, I wanna have a horse farm there, stables, this and that. So I talked the process through with her, and that'll be going nicely. 518 Main Street, the old guns and ammo. There was a section in our signage rules that don't allow advertising for any activity not happening on site. So I made contact, the owner is gonna take it down. Furthermore, we're trying to figure out how we can put his dumpster on the town-owned property at 508 Main Street to clean up the building rather than blocking parking or sidewalk access. So I got the information from finance on what he needs to do for his insurance certificates.
You could probably follow up from that conversation, which led to 398 Main Street. We made that contact, and we'll find out if it'll be impetus if they want to apply for something.
I see, there was a real estate sale that was on there, but they were a tenant in the building.
Yeah, I prepared the letter today to send out to him. Shane wasn't in today, so we'll finish that tomorrow. But the same language used for that,
Okay.
they need to take it down or apply. And the rest is the various stages of our blighted properties throughout town, or at least the ones that I've been able to identify so far. And if you have any specific questions, I'd be glad to take them.
I think you just, I don't know the address, the one I addressed you with.
That's what I was
That's the one
talking
that
about,
the
yeah. That's
real
what I
estate
brought
sign?
up to Lance, and
So
he,
that's coming down?
well,
Well, the letter's gonna be going out tomorrow,
Okay.
to let them know that they can't have it.
They had
unless
indicated,
they wanna apply some other way.
Okay.
well, yeah, but it's not a billboard,
Right.
so we don't have sign regulations that deal with people just putting things anywhere. If they were a tenant in the building,
That'd be different story, it'd be taking place on site.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it just needs to be complied with.
Right.
Okay, good.
And you got the,
I
you
just
mentioned the
noticed
church with the big banners.
Church, we
there.
talked about again, and actually we are gonna make an
I
attempt to
sent an
talk to
email
them.
To the church today, tried to make it as nice as possible, don't wanna get in trouble with God, but, I let them know that that sign is probably not in regulations. I presented them with the regulations, I said, let me know what you guys think, so.
We actually thought maybe the size of it is appropriate according to the building, but the problem is it should be a 30-day temporary banner
Yeah.
if they're gonna do that.
Well, as long as it's fitting what we have in the regulations and it's followed up that way, if they think it should be changed, then they can come in and make that request.
Right. And unfortunately for them, they already have 2 monument signs on the property, and that is the limit for the zone. So multiple ways to go about
Yeah.
that banner sign.
Okay, good. I think, give you a lot of credit. It's
Oh,
a hard
excellent.
work, but getting a lot accomplished. And people are gonna start complying with, or come in and say, we should change something. And we doesn't mean we have all the answers for sure.
When it falls over.
Trying to play by the rules, yeah.
Just don't put yourself out of work, make sure you keep your.
I will say, and I said it in our leadership meeting, Jeff's doing a heck of a job, and
I
I
agree.
mean, we had so much baggage to kind of get through, and you're doing an amazing job. And what's nice is now that we're calling people out on it, other people are just saying, fine, I'll
Well,
comply.
that's what it leads to. When you're not doing something, it just
Right.
gets all over the place. So, all right, anybody else, communication, we've got through, motion to adjourn.
Yeah, they're
We're all ready to get out of here.
Okay.
Don't forget,
Thanks,
the next
everybody.
meeting's on
Tell them,
Tuesday.
Yeah, I got silver
It's,
water,
it's a
but I.
business, it's not supposed to be there, and, yeah, it's, could be totally after him for
Exactly.
blight. I think he was on the list at one point.
All right.
Did he come back on? It was supposed to. Okay, good.
No, he'll be there, he got his skid steer.
I have.
Yeah, how'd it go? Did you guys do it on Saturday? I know the weather was,
This Sunday, I believe,
okay.
we're gonna have an excavator at Tetros, and one up on Bachelor.
Appreciate your input too.
The transport.
Cousins or
I don't think Tanya was there, right?
Yeah, it's over.
I had, came part, I didn't take the big one that she wanted,
Grant?
but that's.
See, thank you, Lauren.
Please work right there, so.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Go back and get it later, that's fine.
No,
Yeah.
it's his girlfriend.
They're each
Okay,
acting.
I was gonna say,
Young kid, where they moved that to.
It's okay. It's kind of a first step, in my opinion.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay,
I'd like to be able to add on, because really, what can you use it for? You put one picnic table and that's about it. But it's a step in the right direction, in my opinion, so.
I haven't either since you.
Yeah, he'll come over. He had a trailer there.
You got all the foundation, you got it all.
Okay, I'll look at it again.
Nothing was wrong with it.
Bill might say something,
Because his father said,
because that was my concern when I went out there. I'd rather the code for step.
Yep.
Why you're gonna have, they need you there to have
Peter, are those
stairs over the whole thing, which we. Yeah, that's my shit.
No, I just, didn't know whether you forgot about it. I got it full in there.
Park's gonna be awesome. I need to talk to the artist who's gonna do, you know, the,
hope we don't see this one again come back.
Jersey barrier that's sitting there. We're
I
putting
can't
mural.
see how they go.
Yeah,
Have so much
so I need to contact
information
him again
out there.
before the weather.
To go forward for that kind of money, you're talking.
It'll still be closed, that's fine. Yep, but then, you know, it'll serve as, not really a sign, but just like a little bit more welcoming.
Years with it at least.
We're sitting there. So,
At least, it was a start.
When I went down there the first time.
yeah, we'll see if we get a buy.
How would you have to do that with your excavator, bring it back or
Yeah.
whatever?
Okay,
Yeah, Phil from Street Crew, he's been great. He got me the nicest one they had, swapped it out.
all those
And
buildings.
when it came out painted, we'll probably split the paint
It's
inside.
a lot of great money they got.
Then rebuild everything, so the labor costs alone are huge. So then you're talking all the way.
I know.
Did you see it?
Yeah, it's funny, but then we get the rain, and now it'll wash it through again.
Right.
I mean, something,
And all that stuff,
something's not good there.
It is natural,
building,
but,
Yeah.
yeah.
you dig a
I
hole,
agree.
pour a
In an
foundation,
area,
and put up steel
fix
and
it.
block
I mean,
it.
they sell solar ones, so, they might install it, but who knows? We're trying to avoid that. We're looking at, did anybody talk about trees on the upper side?
We can do anything we want. So, yeah, if you wanna pitch some.
Yeah, it's good. Linda doing good?
I would like to, and I'd like to.
I haven't called in a few weeks,
That roadway.
he hasn't done anything stupid lately?
Not that there need extra.
Or this week.
I was at a project last weekend.
There's gonna be people parked all over.
Put in a road and turn around.
So it's definitely getting there, and Phil from the street says he'll mow it next year, so we're getting there.
Leave that back.
All the effort that you guys are doing.
I don't have time to go down there all
Let me have that back.
You like it? You gotta turn more!
That's good.
So what are you doing? Oh, you guys want Troy for selectment tonight?
What?
For selectment tonight?
And on the way out, you go to a little bottle?
Up there for Charlotte.
I was just gonna, keep her packet together and I'll leave it for her for next time.
impressive. I says, what?